Welcome to the second section, Exploring ASP.NET Core. We will go in more detail, starting a new project, looking on what is middleware in ASP.NET Core, and work with configuration and different environments in ASP.NET Core. In this video, I want to talk about how to create a new ASP.NET Core project in Visual Studio 2017. So to create a new ASP.NET Core application, I've started Visual Studio 2017. From the menu bar, you can now use File, New, Project, and you can see all the project templates you got to create a new application. We will select the Web tab and see three different projects we can create. The first one is ASP.NET Web Application based on the .NET framework. This is like the old ASP.NET, like you used to know it. The next one is the ASP.NET Core Web Application based on .NET Core. So here we got a new ASP.NET Core Web Application which is based on the .NET Core framework. The next one you can choose is the ASP.NET Core Web Application based on the full .NET framework. So here you got the new template from ASP.NET Core, but it's targeting the whole .NET framework underneath. We will choose the project ASP.NET Core Web Application based on .NET Core. Let's call it Prjct Web App. I just hit enter, and now I can see all the templates which we can choose for the web application. Let's start with the last one. Here we got the full web application template Visual Studio with scaffold for us. So here we got included everything you need if you want to use the whole ASP.NET Core MVC framework. We don't want to do that, as we want to create a web API. So we could choose the web API template. Here everything is included to get started with a new web API, and Microsoft would scaffold only the web API things for us. In this course, we want to start from a green field. We want to start completely new, so this is why we choose the empty template. I'm just hitting OK, and Microsoft Visual Studio 2017 is scaffolding an empty template for us. Okay, let's see what we got here. The first thing you see is this root folder here. This root folder is the only folder which is really served to the client. So if you've got any static files like PDFs or something else you want to serve to the client, you can place it here in the root folder. We don't need it here in this course, so we can do a right click on it and choose exclude from project so we don't see it, and this makes our solution template a little bit cleaner. Visual Studio now jumped to the program.cs file, and this file we saw in the previous video already. So this is the main starting point for our application, and as you can see, we got the public static void main method here again. So this is nothing more than a console application which is not running console.writeline anything, but is using a web host builder to build a new web host. After that, we are just saying use Kestrel. We are placing the content root on the current directory. We're using the IIS integration in case you are running behind an ASP.NET IIS in production. If you add this line and you're running behind an Nginx or something else than an ASP.NET IIS, it will work anyway. After that, we choose a startup file to configure our whole application. We will look into that in a second. Then we're adding application insights and just call build on the web host builder. After that, we can just call host.run to run our application. Now let's look at this startup file here. In this startup file, we have two methods. The first one is the configure services method, and the next one is the configure method. First of all, pay attention to the configure services method. Here we got injected an iService collection. In this iService collection, we can use the built-in dependency injection system which ASP.NET Core's got for us. So on this services variable here, we can add all our services which we can use or which we want to use inside our application. We can then directly inject it to our controllers if we need them and do something with them. The next one is the configure method. The configure method gets injected in iApplicationBuilder, the hosting environment, and the Logger factory. Inside this configure method, you are configuring the whole pipeline for your HTTP requests before they are proceeded in your controllers. So you can literally think of them dropping in at line 24 and going through all those middleware. And if the response is sent back, it's going through all those middleware in reverted order. So if you want to handle something globally before it gets processed by a concrete controller which is targeting a resource directly, you can add the global behavior of your HTTP request inside this configure method. This is also the place where you would add identity or authentication or something like that. And in the last lines you see a app.run middleware, and it's just taking a context, and if we hover with the mouse over the context you can see that the context has the type HTTP context. So everything we do is we're catching the HTTP context and we're just writing to the response a hello world. So it doesn't matter which HTTP request comes in, we're just writing to the response a hello world. So this is the most simple case for an API. Let's start it. We can just hit the play button here and choose IS Express. The application will build now and will start up for the first time. The IS Express gets launched. We can wait for a second, and then you can see that we are running a request on localhost 55869, and we see the hello world. So how would the application behave if I would get another route in here? Let's say API/customers, and just hit enter, and you see there's a hello world coming back. Make API/house, and you see a hello world coming back. So we got no endpoint here, and regardless which route we choose, everything is always covered by this app run middleware where our HTTP request runs through and just gets responded with a write async and hello world. If we change this in hello packed, we see a hello packed coming back. So now we've created our first ASP.NET Core application, and we saw the startup file and we saw the program file. We have targeted middleware a bit in this case, but in the next video we will dive a bit more into the middleware concept of ASP.NET Core. So in this video we saw how to create a new ASP.NET Core project in Visual Studio 2017.